Hello. I kind of want to talk about. I feel like the graduate job market's not really being spoken about. The way that it's really difficult, and it's one of the main areas that has shrunk during the pandemic, and also I've been through it myself. I kind of feel like I just want to chat about what's changed in the market, what's the point on university, how it's changing, and what the effects are. Coming out of wartime Britain and kind of the 70s, which was very unionised, university played the role of kind of like the army in the United States, where it takes people from the working class, effectively, and it levels people up throughout the class systems by providing them with knowledge and expertise so that they can then make money out of it. They can create a business, they can create a career out of that sort of thing. It played an alright role back at the start when we want to transition into I think Margaret Thatcher transitioned us quite substantially into the financial sector and the media industry, and kind of making people employed for their knowledge and expertise rather than their physical output. So that's kind of how, and it played quite a major shift in how our economy transitioned during the Thatcher years, rightly or wrongly. That's just what happened. And right at the start, you would have got paid to go to university. I remember talking to my parents and they got grants to go to uni. And then kind of tuition's been brought in, it's gone up and it's gone down. Well, it hasn't gone down, it's going up. And it's not quite at the same extent as the US, but I've had a lot of conversations with people saying, is it worth it? Because it's now at a level where you're never going to be able to pay that kind of money back. In the period of, so I'm going to talk about the period just before the pandemic, because I feel like the pandemic's a thing all in itself, to be honest. But from the period of 2007, which was an actual peak in terms of graduate employment, if you compare the two peaks of 2019 versus 2007, there's actually only an 8% increase in graduate jobs, which is kind of stark considering, you've had 12 years of potential, 12 years of a bit able to grow. Obviously there was a recession, so you would have gone down to go up again, but you get my point. But during that period, I think it was 39% more people, was it 38% more people went to university, so there's 38% more graduates and only 8% more jobs. It strikes me that I feel like university is perceived as a right these days. Certainly within people who don't know what they want to be doing, it's seen as a right, and so you're getting a lot of, how would you put it, jobs which don't need you don't need 3 years of university dedicating yourself to it to demonstrate its utility. That makes sense. So if you want to go into media industry, if you want to become a director, for example, you don't need 3 years of uni to demonstrate that you can be a good director. You can pick up your camera and learn, and there's a wealth of resources now available to kind of be able to be good at that sort of stuff. All media pretty much the same. Journalism pretty much the same. I think English language and history is important subjects that we kind of keep, but they have very little utility in the kind of business commercial world, and so it really only demonstrates the fact that you can write. So you only do that if you want to become a journalist of some description, and you don't need to go to university to become a journalist, I don't believe. I'm not a journalist. The BBC might have some sort of policy where, there's so many people, they just want graduates, and it is definitely become an easy way to filter out people during the recruitment process. Have you got a degree or not? Something doesn't sit right with me about that 39% increase versus only 8% increase, and because it definitely demonstrates the fact that of what we're experiencing really during the pandemic, we've got a massive oversupply of graduates in this country and not that many jobs. In fact, during the pandemic it's actually gone down. Graduate wages are either at 30%, it depends where you get your information from, but it's either going to be at 30%, or it could be, I've seen ranges of about 20 to 24. And I was thinking about, why is there such a disparity between those two? Because obviously if supply outstrips demand, it's going to come down, so 30 seems a bit inaccurate. And what I saw and what I read about was that the top graduate recruiters are all offering 30%. And so they are really offering graduate jobs. You imagine a pyramid with, I don't know, 3 columns or something like that, so, or maybe 4 or 5 of that. The top of the pyramid, that is your graduate job. Those are your graduate salaries over 25. That is really a graduate salary, in truth, yeah. That is when you can start moving out and feeling and having the ability to spend money and not worry too much, because you have enough money to support you, and that's where your degree should be taking you. So, okay. So that is a graduate job. And back in 2010 and 2007, we had enough graduates to fill those jobs. Now we're in a position where there's so many people graduating, we've got an outstrip of supply, and as a result they're not applying for graduate jobs anymore. They're applying for the level below, maybe even the level below that, which you don't technically need a degree for. And so, but because everyone's applying for them has a degree, you do need a degree for them, because it's a really easy way for the recruiter to separate out the candidates. During this pandemic, what we've seen is 3 years of graduates not finding jobs. In any year of graduates, not everyone gets a job first time round, but the next year round they will get a job if they apply for enough. But with the labour market massively shrinking under the pandemic, especially for graduates, you've got graduates from 2019 not getting jobs. They would have been passed over, because some wouldn't have got the jobs from, I know it was before pandemic, but some people wouldn't have got jobs. So they would have applied in 2020. You've got all the people in 2020, so my year, struggling to get jobs. A greater proportion of those people would have not been able to find a job because of the shrinking labour market. Then you've got this year who are also graduating in a pandemic. And yes, okay, you could make the argument that there has been an uptick in the number of opportunities of being available, but it's not massive. So I'm worried personally about the number of people there and all that expertise which is going to go wasted, and I think it's going to contribute to a bust in the university system, because you're going to have people on massive debt not being able to pay it off, not even being able to get onto the ladder of going up the class system, which is what it was originally intended for. If you go 4 years, but they'll get a degree. I've literally seen this with my own eyes. They'll get a degree, and they'll not be able to find a job. They'll not be able to find a job. 3 years will pass. They may get a part-time job, and that will become their job. And especially with universities not providing better content, I don't think content for the cost. So currently they're providing online lectures. Because you think about it, if you can get all your money, the same amount, they have to pay the full amount, but you don't have to rent the space, you don't have to pay your teacher full salary because they don't have to commute. Or they can do it part-time, they can do it from wherever. You can open it up to people from all over the world as long as they speak English and have access. And so I'm worried about how the ramifications of this sort of thing 15 years down the line. Are people just going to care less and less about university? And I'm worried then about how does the UK adapt to that, bearing in mind for the last 40 years we've had one solution pretty much to getting people up the hierarchy, and that has been university, and that's been university. Recently there's been an increase in apprenticeships, but it's still very much university is paramount. So yeah. What advice the only piece of advice I could offer is to be willing to apply for a lot. Be willing for it to be like a full-time job, applying and researching jobs, and constantly be thinking about different ways to improve your CV and marketing yourself. I scroll through LinkedIn pretty regularly, and it's filled with people who are just complaining about not being able to get a job or the graduate process being too hard, and what they're not realising is that they have so many graduates to filter out of the market that they need to put levels in just to do that. It's not that they're not competent. But if everyone's got a degree, no one has a degree. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, isn't it? We'll see. Good chat. See you later.